Hi friends, this is my second video for the Philomath project. It's on a book I read yesterday, which is Euthyphro by Plato. I wanted to do it out in the open, so I'm sorry if there are any background noises. Now, firstly, Euthyphro is an early dialogue of Plato, and much of Plato's early writings are conversations that Socrates had with his disciples or some other person. Socrates himself almost never wrote anything, and much of what we know about him is through the writings of Plato. And this is one of his early dialogues, the Euthyphro. The basis of this is that Plato meets Euthyphro outside the court of Athens. They're both there for their respective cases. Uh, Socrates has been accused of impiety, and Euthyphro has brought a case against his father. And so Socrates thinks that since Euthyphro is so sure of what's right and wrong and what's pious and impious, that he's taking a chance of bringing a case against his father. So he must be knowing what's pious and impious, because if he's wrong, then he risks being impious. So he can gain that knowledge from Euthyphro and then try to defend himself in court. And since people give respect to Euthyphro, and he is a very respectable person there, so his definition of piety and impiety would be acceptable by everyone. Uh, okay, so Socrates asks him, "What is piety?" The first answer that Euthyphro gives is that which I am doing is pious, that I am bringing a case against my father. So Socrates asks, "What has your father done?" So Euthyphro says that one of his slaves had in a drunken state killed someone else. Uh, so his father was very angry with that slave, and he threw him in a pit after binding his limbs. And by the time he returned, the person had died. So Euthyphro felt that his father was guilty of murder. So Socrates said, "Okay, I understand what your case is, but this is a very specific case. This is an example of what pious means. Like, you're bringing a case against your father is an example of what piety is, but that's not the definition of piety. I want a more general definition." So at this point, Euthyphro says that piety is what is pleasing to the gods, and so at this point of time, Socrates says that, okay, when we have to compare two numbers, we simply see which one is the bigger. We subtract one of them from the other, and if the difference is positive, we know that the first one was a bigger number. Similarly, if you want to compare the weights of two things, then we weigh them and we can know which one is heavier and which one is lighter. And if we want to compare the lengths of two things, then we place them side by side and we can see which is longer and which is shorter. So these kinds of things can be practically uh, measured, and we can reach at an answer that yes, this thing is lighter, or this thing is heavier, or this is longer than that, or that is bigger than that number is bigger than this number. But when it comes to things like what's good and bad, what's honorable and dishonorable, what's good and evil, in these questions different people tend to have different views, and here the opinion is what comes to is what makes people quarrel. Like, if I quarrel with someone, it won't be about 5 is bigger than 4. We both know that 5 is bigger than 4, because we can subtract 4 from 5 and see it's 1 which is greater than 0, so 5 is greater than 4. what people quarrel about is, are things which lack a proper verifiable definition, or things which can be practically verified through various means. For example, and this is obviously not what Socrates says, but this is what I'm putting forward for myself. Uh, Having multiple wives is valid in some parts of the world, and it's not valid, it's not right in some other parts of the world. And this is what makes people quarrel, because there is no standard definition of which of these is the right thing. Anyway, back to the dialogue. So uh, Socrates is able to make Euthyphro accept that gods may be also having such kinds of problems, and that when they quarrel, it's about such issues and not issues with which can be verified. So, and Euthyphro says that yes, I agree with what you're saying. So, with this, one point that Socrates puts forward is that yes, one more thing. Uh, he says that whenever a trial is run, the defendant never says that I'm guilty but don't punish me. What the defendant tries to always say is that I haven't done the crime. So it is an almost universal, uh, it is an almost universally accepted thing that the guilty should be punished. You'll rarely find an example where a person is saying that I'm guilty but don't punish me. So this is a side angle to it. So Socrates offers to alter the definition, and he says that, so I think we can now say that what all the gods love is pious, and what all the gods hate is impious. And Euthyphro says that yes, I am able to accept your definition as it's more reasonable than the earlier one, because in the earlier one there was a chance that some gods may love something while the other gods hate that same thing. We have an example where Zeus punished his father for killing his children. Uh, so if Euthyphro punishes his father, Zeus will be happy, but Cronus will not be happy, and both of them are gods. So this was the kind of example that Socrates is trying to put away. So they agreed on this definition that yes, what all the gods love is pious, and what all the gods hate is impious. Uh, so here comes Euthyphro's dilemma. Socrates asks him, is the pious loved by the gods because it is pious, or is it pious because it is loved by the gods? So this is like asking, like, what's the cause and what's the effect? If I am pious, will gods love me because I am pious, or am I pious because gods love me? So here, if we look at an example, let's say I'm carrying a pen. Now, is the pen being carried because I'm carrying him, or am I carrying it because the pen has a trait called carried? So here, what they accept and what they come to a conclusion is that the state leads to, uh, okay, if we say that uh, I'm pious because the gods love me, but then why do the gods love me? They should have a reason for loving me, and they can't love me because me love me. As in, sorry, they can't love me because they love me. It's circular reasoning. They have to have a reason for loving me. So saying that gods love me because I'm pious, as in this is what Euthyphro says, that gods love me because I'm pious, and we can already see that the statement has some tensions which will come to the fore in the later parts of the dialogue. So, so they accept this definition that uh, that what the gods, it's pious because it's loved by the gods. From here, Socrates uh, takes to the next definition, which he thinks that fine. I'll try to define what piety is, and he says, like, he assumes that what's pious must be just, and he asks Euthyphro, and he says that yes, all that is pious is just. So Socrates asks, is all that is just also pious? And Euthyphro says no, that's not the case. The justice that is done towards men is not necessarily pious, but that which is done towards the gods is pious. So here also we see that Socrates is trying to say that piety can be a subset of justice, and there are some parts of justice which are not a part of piety. But then what is this part? What part of justice can be defined to be piety? And here, here he says that um, yes, plus um, when we let's say take care of something, fine. I'm going a little off track here. I'll try to gather my thoughts. Um, Socrates says that pious is a subset of justice. All pious is just, but all justice is not pious. Euthyphro says, as I've said, that justice for men and justice for gods are different parts. And by doing justice for gods, we are caring for gods. Like, we take care of what gods like and what gods don't like. And when we do what gods like, we are being pious. So Socrates says that when we take care of gods, then it's for the betterment. That, let's say we have a horseman. A horseman takes care of his horse. It's for the better of that horse. So Euthyphro says yes, that's true. So Socrates says that when we do something, when we take care of gods through our actions, how can we make gods better? So Euthyphro says no, that's not the way of looking at it. But we are trying to honor the gods, and by by doing what they want us to do. So here comes the fifth definition, where Euthyphro says that um, piety means that we give the gods what they want, and we ask in return through prayers what we want. So when we pray, we ask the gods to give us something, and when we do the right things, when we act piously, we are giving the gods what they want. So here Socrates says that it's just like business, like you give something to the gods and expect something in return. Euthyphro is reluctant to accept this definition, but he says that yes, he can use the term that way if he wants. Uh, th- then again, Socrates says that the gifts we give to God, uh, how isn't what can our gifts mean to God? If we are giving something to God, then how? See, God is the ultimate. Okay, so how can what we give to Him make Him better, or make Him more happier, or make Him in a better? Listen, how can it add anything to the concept of God? How can it better Him? So this is where Euthyphro is a little confused, and he goes back to what he was saying, that we are doing what gods want us to do, and then they're back to their as in they're back to where they had started. And then Euthyphro says that he has some work and he has to leave. Uh, so Socrates does not give an answer towards the end, and this is like, matlab, this is something which you'll find in most of his dialogues, that he discusses all the angles and gives all the arguments, both for and against, and then leaves the reader to decide for himself what the answer should be. So this was my second video. I don't think I've done justice to this one. Not not the gods, but I've not done justice to this one, I think. But I'm looking forward to your comments. Thank you.